Good morning, good afternoon, or good evening, depending on wherever you are in the world, and welcome to a brand new video where we are going to be looking at quite an interesting tactic setup, and it's going to be Ruud van Nistelrooy's Burnley. Now, as I'm recording this, nothing has been confirmed, it is just kind of speculation, but apparently he is very, very close to being Burnley's manager, and yeah, I thought I really wanted to make a video. He managed PSV in the 2022 to 2023 season, I think leaving during the season with a fallout of behind the scenes with the club, etc. But I think it's going to be super interesting, so I kind of went out and looked at as much information as I possibly could, even watching a video where he explained his tactics versus Ajax in a cup final, which gave a really good insight into potentially what he could do at Burnley. So without further ado, let's get into the tactics. We started off as a 4-4-1-1. That is the normal 4-4-1-1, and this is our variation. So what you're going to be doing is just dropping the centre backs down, I think 3 if you use the D-pad. If you don't know how to do this, press X if you're on Xbox or square if you're on PlayStation to move positions. You can move them wherever you wish, but yeah, just drop the centre backs a couple so you have space to drop Sanderberg to a right CDM. This is pretty important. He likes one of his central midfielders to be a more defensive kind of ball winning midfielder. In PSV he had Sangari, who is at now Nottingham Forest. So Sanderberg I think will be perfect for this role. Only 26 as well, he's not exactly old. He can definitely fill this ball winning midfielder role really nicely. So I think he'll probably go with this variation in the midfield. And the left hand side I think I just took up and slightly further to the left. If not, I just left it. But he has to be a left centre mid, so not a defensive midfielder, left central midfielder, so he can be up and down. It's pretty important in terms of instructions and how he personally, Ruud van Nistelrooy, wanted his team to be set up and kind of utilised. In terms of the defence, you want to bring your right back in, not kind of crazy, you could, but you want to bring him in just slightly and make sure he's a right back. And then your left back, you want to put him, so as you can see, if we move him just up 1, you can put him as only a left wing back, but as we have him, he is a left back. So that's kind of the depth you want your left back to be on. You want him to be slightly wider as well, as you can see, compared to the right back. Again, because in PSV, Ruud van Nistelrooy had his his right back, which was Teze. He had him more as a central defender, so they built up a lot of the time as a back 3, which offered a lot more variation in kind of build up. From what I saw, he was pretty flexible when it came to building up. He would build up in a back 4, then as a 3. Sometimes, you know, the defensive midfielder dropping a little bit deeper, acting as that third centre back. But he did predominantly use Teze as a back 3. Of course, that doesn't stop him kind of charging forward and whatnot, but he used the right back as part of the back 3, and then the left back, which was Patrick van Aanholt, who also played in the Premier League. He used him as an out-and-out kind of wing back. He was up and down the pitch, very attacking, putting crosses in from deep and also the byline. So he was kind of the natural width on the left. So that's why you want Vitinha as... You could put him as a left wing back, that's completely up to you. But yeah, that's what he went with. So the right hand side, Manuel, we kind of pushed slightly further right. We didn't push him all the way. He does like width on the right hand side, as he did in PSV. He had Bakayoko there, I think, but before that he had Madueke, who's of course now at Chelsea. So an inverted kind of winger, but he liked holding the width, being able to kind of isolate the opponent's left back and go one-on-one to deliver crosses or beat the man on that side. And then on the left hand side, I think originally he had Gakpo, but then obviously selling him to Liverpool, they ended up having Xavi Simons, who is now at RB Leipzig and doing wonderful things as the kind of more inverted left hand side. And he's still a left wing, we just kind of brought him in a touch. Of course you could put him up further if you wanted to. We kind of wanted to keep that narrowness on the left hand side, but still being a winger rather than bringing him in to be a left attacking midfielder. That's because we want the instruction to cut inside. You definitely want him to kind of start wide but cut in, allowing the left back to overcharge. That's what he wanted. And then the cam we brought up, we don't want him to be, so we brought him up as much as we could. We pushed the striker as far up as we could. We want him to stretch the line, which allows us to push the cam, in this case Amdoni, up. You want him to be a central attacking midfielder, not anything else. And then the striker we actually just chucked to the left hand side as an offset. This is because defensively, with the instructions that we've set, Amdoni pretty much becomes the second striker, and that allows us to defend as a 4-4-2 as well as a 4-2-3-1 in situations. So that's also what he wanted. At PSV he had Till, which instead of being this super creative number 10, if you think of like Florian Wirtz, for example, this season, or even if you go back like a David Silva, sits in the pocket and kind of dictates play. Till wasn't that. He was more of a shadow striker, a second striker, who would make late runs into the box, get onto the end of things, finish things with crosses, or just kind of creating chaos in the box as a late arriver. And up front for PSV, they had Luke de Jong, who was incredible in the air. From what I gathered, he kind of wanted to maximize everyone's potential within the system that he was playing. But I feel like if he were to have different types of strikers, like Fofana, if he stays, which he might not, we never know kind of when teams get relegated, who's going to stay, who's going to go. They could, of course, keep Lyle Foster. He's only 23, who could be quite good. You've got good options at Trafford in goal. You've also got Muric, who's only 25. You've got O'Shea, Jordan Bayer, obviously Sanderberg being 26, Cullen 28. They have a young team, and I think if this kind of core stays together, they could come straight back up into the Premier League next season. So yeah, kind of who plays where is irrelevant. That's completely up to you and how you want to play, depending on your style and what you want. But having that left-handed side, in this case Ramsey, as more of a attacking midfielder who can pass, dribble, and isn't so much like an out-and-out natural winger, is certainly helpful. In terms of tactics, defensively he's very flexible. It's not so much super aggressive, but it's not sitting off, so we've left it a balanced. Again, I feel like this is very situational, so if you feel like you need a little bit more pressure, don't be afraid to put it on press after possession loss, because they did press quite often. Press on heavy touch as well, which kind of waits for triggers instead of just going straight after the ball if you lose it. Constant pressure is a little bit crazy, so anything of those three is pretty good. He did like a mid block rather than a low block. If you think, Sean Dyche's Burnley, they were very much low block, get blocks in. They pressed occasionally, but not very often. They would prefer kind of shape and solidity over pressing up high. So 60 being the depth, it's very balanced. You can either press or you can kind of drop. A team width of 42, you want to push them out wide. He likes his team nice and compact and shuffling side to side instead of just kind of opening up. Offensively, build up, we're going to go with balanced. Again, this offers a really nice structure going forwards, whether you want to build up nice and slow, or if the opposition are pressing really high, you can counter-attack quite easily. You'll be seeing in the clips a lot of the good chances that we do get and goals that we scored come from winning the ball back in our own defensive half, and then kind of breaking on the opposition and creating really good chances. Chance creation is direct passing. It gives you the best movement in the Eafc 24. You could also go with forward runs. I think they're very similar. Possession is a little bit stagnant, but with direct passing, it offers you a lot of chances being able to cross early, which he did utilize quite often with having De Jong up front, who is extremely good in the air. Having De Jong up front and direct passing, or if you have a target man up front, it will allow you to be able to cross the ball a lot more often. But having Fofana up front, who isn't fantastic in the air, it kind of negated that the use of early crosses. But they were definitely there for positions. I think we did even score a crossed goal early on in one of the halves, which you'll see. The width, we went with 70. He does like natural width. Of course, different players holding different widths. The right hand side, the right winger, holding the width on the right, and then Van Aanholt or whoever is your left back holding the width on the left. So that's something that he definitely likes, having width in his play. Players in the box, he invariably used crossing. So as I said, you kind of want to fill the box with as many people as possible, especially if you're going with a simulated style and you have target men or big people who are good in the air. You want to flood the box. So we have 8, which is very aggressive and high. You could easily go with 6, which offers you the same, but rather it doesn't offer you the same in terms of at the back post or players from midfield breaking through. So we had it on 8, which was really nice. Corners 3, free kicks 2. Free kicks just because you don't want to really get countered as much. And then corners, we scored I think 3 corner goals, 1 directly from a cross, and then 2 absolute worldies from Ramsey, which make sure you check those out because they were ridiculous. Arguably some of the best goals that we scored. No, I think we scored 4 actually from corners. So yeah, that was quite nice. So in terms of instructions, the 2 centre backs are literally balanced. I haven't changed anything. Stay back, normal, and stick to position for both. Muric is unbalanced and balanced, but I think it's pretty normal and standard to have common crosses and sweeper keeper. On the right hand side, we have obviously the more defensive right back, which is stay back, normal, interceptions, inverted, and stick to position. So he does like to stay inverted, which you build up in a back 3. Well, try to. Of course, he does make runs on the overlap from time to time if it is required. Out on the left hand side, we have join the attack and overlap. Of course, with the left back in his system, he definitely wanted overlaps and getting as far forward as possible, helping the attackers. The defensive midfielder, this is why we had the defensive midfielder. So you have cut passing lane, stay back while attacking, cover centre. It just offers you slightly more in terms of positioning defensively. If you put them as a centre mid, even if you say stay back, they will get forward. And in his system, he wanted that at least one of them to stay back and act as the out and out kind of defensive midfielder, breaking up play, making sure you don't get counter attacked. And in this team, obviously, that is Sander Berg. So it offers you a lot more solidity in that middle, especially when you do break and you have people like Cullen, Ramsey, Amdoni, Manuel, and Fofana all breaking forward, and Vitinho at left back. It does offer you that kind of structure in defence. And he did cut out a lot as well. Being 6'5", he made a lot of good interceptions for me. Cullen is get forward. Again, if you feel like you're being counter-attacked too much, don't be afraid to put this on balanced. He will get forward from time to time. but I liked the late runs into the box. He scored a few goals for me, got into really good positions to play Amdoni in and Fofana and link up with Ramsey really well. Balanced cross runs. You don't want to just say kind of stay on the edge, because you do want him to get involved, but you don't want him to charge into the box all the time. So balance is pretty good. Cover centre as well, so in the defensive phase he does kind of help Sanderberg to not be isolated. Out on the right hand side we have stay wide, everything else balanced. Out on the left it is very important to have cut inside, come short as well, for the left hand side, in this case Ramsey, because he is a winger and you've told him to cut inside and come short, he will act as a more natural inside forward or inverted winger. Instead, if you were to have him as a left attacking midfielder, he wouldn't start wide and come in. He would just kind of be there at all times and more often than not drift wide. So that's why you kind of wanted a winger with cut inside and come short. It offers you more consistency with his movements coming inside, and you'll see that in the clips. A lot of the time he is just kind of there in the right position, coming wide to coming in, which is really nice. And then Amdoni, of course you want to stay forward because you want to try and emulate the 4-4-2. When you're defending, of course he does drop in as well from time to time. Get into the box, which is really important. Stick to position, which you could change if you wanted to. You could free roam. I always kind of wanted him in the middle to make runs past Fofana, and if he were to have free roam, maybe it kind of gets a little bit bunched up in the middle. So that's what I have. And then for Fofana, you have stay central. Even though he is slightly further to the left, it does allow him to kind of drift in between the left and right hand side. With stay central, I think if you were to put him on kind of drift wide, he would go far too wide left. So stay central for him. Mixed attacks. I didn't want to put him as a target player because I did want him to make runs in behind because he is quicker than De Jong. But if you do have a bigger centre forward who is better in the air and not so quick, you can definitely put on target player. Although I think mixed attacks is the best, and stay forward for Fofana. So that is kind of the team and everything you need to set up. And then we're just going to go over all the goals, and I'm going to show you all the highlights from the games. I think I won a game against Juventus like 12-0. So there's going to be a lot of goals that you can see, plus the two absolute worldies. And I'll see you just in a second. Alright, so here we are with the highlights. I'm just going to pretty much talk about kind of all the things that I really liked about this formation, the things that you can do, and maybe some of the negatives. So we're going to start with the positives and some of the players in this formation, the players that you can expect to be really good, whether you play with Burnley, whether you play with, I know, PSV, Manchester United, doesn't really matter. The central attacking midfielder is so important. You're going to see Amdoni in so many goals. He scores one here, we get a little bit fortunate, but Amdoni was literally one of the most important people in this formation. He was on the ball a lot. He made so many good runs into the box. He was able to finish everything. Point proven with that. I mean, that's a ridiculous finish as well. Against Real Madrid, Courtois straight into the top corner. It didn't really matter who he played either. It was Szczesny, Courtois, I think. Who else did we play? I can't actually remember, but yeah, he scored pretty much everything. There's another cross as well. It's probably one of the only crosses that we did score early on in the game against Juventus. But yeah, the central attacking midfielder was super important. Always making those runs either past the striker or linking up between, getting assists like this with Fofana. The other really important player for us was actually Ramsey. I was kind of surprised. So I knew he was going to be important, but I didn't realise how good he was going to be. Coming in from that left-hand side and allowing Vitinho to make those overlapping runs was really impressive. And of course, because he is a winger in the formation, he does stay wide as well, so he's not just cramping up the space in the middle. He does keep his width until the opportunity kind of arises. As you're going to see, this is the game where we won quite convincingly. We're already 5-0 up before half-time too. And yeah, this is literally second half started. Tony just runs the entire pitch and hits the top corner. I mean, as I said, he was so good. In terms of kind of the striker, I think it's very situational and kind of your preference. If you do have, what a finish that is, if you do have a slightly bigger striker, for example, if you were to have, I'm trying to think of a striker who doesn't have much pace, I don't know, like an Olivier Giroud type, who's incredible in terms of finishing, but maybe not so much gifted with the pace, I think it would work perfect in this system. Even if the ball kind of goes wide, you get the ball so much in the middle. There's so many cutback opportunities. Good movement is going to kill teams, especially with, Ramsey cutting in from the left-hand side. And you can kind of see it's just really quick passes that teams are going to struggle with, especially if you move it from somebody like Cullen, who's a central midfielder, into the striker, lays it off to Amdoni, the cam, and then plays a ball straight through to Benson, or in this case Bayer, who crosses it at the back post with Ramsey cutting in. Oh, okay, so this goal is one of the, I mean, he doesn't have power shot plus, so it was a little bit laboured, but as soon as he got it onto that right foot, straight into the top corner, and yeah, he was super good. So in terms of things that you might want to change in this formation, I did mention it a little bit. When you defend it, and yes, I did score a penalty with my goalkeeper. We were 11-0 up, and yeah, I mean, why not, right? Get him involved too. Maybe it's a little bit toxic. Maybe I shouldn't have done it. But defensively, I don't think it would hurt at all to put things on pressure after possession loss, especially if you think that you're a better player than your opponent. Definitely something. I mean, what a terrible goal to score, but I don't think it's a terrible idea to put pressure on. This team definitely can put pressure on, but on the balanced kind of tactic, you don't push up so much and have that oppressive feeling when you're pressing. And in Eafc, it's definitely something you can do quite easily. The defensive AI is quite strong, so being able to kind of press against opposition with those tactics is something that you should definitely look at. If you're not so comfortable defending with pressure high up the pitch and having to make switches quickly, then leave it on balance. I don't think it's terrible. You can see in the gameplay, we're able to press quite high, but when we do lose the ball and we have to kind of sit in, it's not so bad. That game, by the way, against Borussia Dortmund, it ended 5-3. It was so difficult. That he was a very, very good player. And you will see all the goals that we did concede too. So it's not just the goals that we did score, it's the goals that we also conceded. So you can kind of see where you might have to defend the most. Okay, so this isn't a great goal. This is an unbelievable header, though, by Sanderberg. Green time, too. A really nice finish. Again, this Man City team was a really good player, too. And this is the second one. You're not going to see many goals better than that. Incredible. But yeah, in terms of this formation, I really did have a lot of fun. I feel like it's more of a counter-attacking system for sure. You can keep the ball. I think I averaged about 63-64% possession quite comfortably as well, even though, you know, we were getting 20 plus shots a game, which was really nice. These are the goals now that we did concede. So I feel like this one especially, we were just really unlucky. It was a really good finish by Sabitzer, but I felt like we were super unlucky to kind of not win the ball back in this game. Again, it's just this one's really poor defending from kickoff. Maybe the keeper should have done a bit better, as Jordan Bayer goes completely crazy. But yeah, it was a lot of fun, this tactic. It's really interesting to see if Ruud van Nistelrooy comes to the Premier League. I think it will be really, really cool. With company at Bayern Munich, which is crazy, considering he got Burnley relegated, and now he's going to be managing Bayern Munich. But if Ruud van Nistelrooy does come to the Premier League, I can imagine he does use tactics similar to this, where he makes the most out of the squad that he has. Of course, he does have principles where he will try and instill on the players, but I think he will 100% be able to get the best out of what he's got and kind of allow the attacking players to flourish. Burnley are a young team. They have a lot of potential in all positions too, and they've got some good leaders. So I think that they're going to be really, really fun to watch in the Championship, and I fully imagine that they will come back up, whether it's with Ruud van Nistelrooy or somebody else. But it would be really cool to see Ruud back in England and hopefully get them promoted back to the Premier League. But this is going to be it. I really, really hope you've enjoyed it. Let me know if you use these tactics in the comments down below, how you get on with them, things that you may have changed, and if you agree with the team selection. But yeah, thank you very much for watching. I really hope you enjoyed it. I hope you have a wonderful rest of your day, and I'll catch you all next time. Bye bye.